Hey everyone, sorry about the audio on this. This is a special podcast that we did with Northern Nevada Bridal Association. Me, Larry, and Eric talked about how it's impacting us locally, what we can do about it, loans, unemployment, and anything in between about what goes on within our organization of Northern Nevada Bridal Association. So I'm just going to get right into it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you are a wedding vendor and need help with anything, please reach out because that's what we're focused on right now. Start talking, sir.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to, I now pronounce you officially socially distant. My name is Larry Williams. I'm the president of the Northern Nevada Bridal Association. Glad to be with you this morning in lieu of our regular meetings, which have been canceled due to the governor's directive of no social gatherings and kind of staying at home. And we're glad to be with you today at home. Nice little conversation we're going to have with a couple of gentlemen who are part of the association, very much working on our behalf on a lot of things that are going to be discussed here that are going to be pertinent to what we all need to do as wedding vendors. They will be Jeramie Liu, award-winning photographer, and Eric Reichenberg with Epic Wedding and Events. Yeah, so I want to get into a few things. We'll do some association business first and go through a few things there. I want to, if you see me looking over this way, I'm getting over to my computer.
Same as all of us, yeah. We're all looking other directions.
I want to find the things so we can put it on. Yeah, we're on Zoom, but I want to click on this if I can find it, or maybe you could send me a link, Jeramie.
To the page we're on, just go to the Northern Nevada Bridal Association page itself, as if you were to check on the stats, and then it'll be the first one up. You'll see our three faces on there.
Well, I don't see
as we go through. So I'm gonna let Larry figure that out for a sec. While we have everybody, thank you guys so much for coming in. We have about 12 people. Everybody's kind of joining in right now. Guys, if you're watching this and you know people in the wedding industry, any vendors of sorts, please just share this with them or tag them in this and let them know that we're doing this, because all this information is going to be for you guys and for the wedding vendors. Also, if you have questions, I'm going to be monitoring the comments as well as we go through. We have things we'll talk about. Loans, all that stuff, money, what we're doing, how we're booking. We three have actually booked in this whole time that we've been down as well. So people are booking. So we need to let you guys know that information, but comment. Let us know what you guys are thinking. If we can help you in any way, this is the time to do it. And then again, share this page post event with everybody. That way they can jump on while we're here so they can get some information. And of course, it'll be saved on Facebook forever, so you guys are more than welcome to come back and tweak it and look at it and ask your questions there, and I'll monitor it as well. I'm one of the admins on the page, so I'll be able to monitor and comment back as well, so I'll keep an eye on that. Larry, did you find it?
Yeah, no, I can't find it, but go ahead and tag me on it.
Hold on, I'm gonna do this real quick. I got to get them on here, guys.
We're there somewhere. Anyways, while you're doing that, I'll go over a little bit of association business. I think it's really important for our members. For those who, there we are. Aha! I found it. Here it is. My volume is down. All right, there we are. All right, folks. So a couple of things, association business. So I'm the owner of the Reno Tahoe DJ Company. I'm the president of the Northern Nevada Bridal Association. We've been going on, we started the association back in June of last year. Since then, we have 180 plus members. We're the largest wedding organization in the state of Nevada. We're very proud of that. Very proud of our membership base. And really proud of our executive director, Shirley Lockett. She has really done a fantastic job getting this association off the ground. And she did something here a few weeks ago that I thought was, most kind and just leading in the industry. I thought it was really nice. She contacted me on the 27th of March, and she said, we need to do something about not taking any more dues for the rest of the year. And I wanted to hear her. I say, so what do you have in mind? Well, here's what happened. We started the association in June, and the way we set up the association, this is good for anybody who is not a part of our association as well. Shirley operates two of the largest bridal expos in the Northern Nevada area, the Bridal and Beauty Expo in October, the Grand Bridal Showcase in January, February. And what we have done to start off the organization is if you have a booth in one of those shows, then your membership is automatically included for the coming year. So we started off the association with about 100 members, just right off the bat. Then we decided to have a low introductory cost for anybody who wants to join the association. Let's say if you don't do a bridal show. And with those people, it turned out to be $100 per year. That's what we came up with. We wanted to make it affordable, but we wanted their inclusion in meetings and this sort of thing. So what Shirley proposed to me on the 27th of March of this year is, she said, Larry, we've got dozens of people who signed up between June 1st and December 31st to sign up, for a year. And we were on a regular year. If you signed up on July 1st, your dues would be due on the following July 1st. She said, there's going to be a lot of dues coming up here in the next several months for renewal. She goes, because of the slowdown, we should include their membership for free to the end of the year. And I thought that was a great idea. And it really made sense because I always thought we should be on a calendar year renewal anyways, with January 1st. So what she decided to do is waive all upcoming dues for anybody who joined between June 1st and December 31st. You would normally get a renewal notice in October, September, whenever you joined. We're going to waive that. There's no additional money due whatsoever. You're a member all the way through 2020. Nobody will owe any dues until January 1st, 2021. Those invoices will go out somewhere, probably December-ish. But so if you're a member, you're a member. You're going to stay a member through the whole year, and you'll get that extra time for free because of this, kind of shutdown. So that's first. So I thought that was great. We instituted that on March 28th, a couple of weeks ago, and I think is the right thing to do. So I hope all our members appreciate that. As you do know, we have canceled our meetings. The meeting for April was canceled. It looks like the meeting on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th at Sunridge, will most likely be canceled. We have not pulled the plug specifically on that meeting yet, but it's not looking terrific at this point that we'll be continuing with that meeting. So we'll keep people posted and updated on what's going on. Now, some of the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about contracts at some point, and including some more client-friendly things in our contracts. But we also have a couple people with me on this call, and this is just a conversation with us. They got a lot of great information to share, and they are Jeramie Liu, our award-winning photographer, who's been around for a long time in this area. He, in fact, Jeramie, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the podcast you've been doing? You've been doing daily podcasts, daily Zoom. You're really in touch and kind of have a real good feel and pulse of the wedding community here locally. Tell us a little bit about your podcast and some of the things you've learned and have heard from not only membership, but other wedding people over the last few days.
Totally. So with this downtime, and I know Eric's going to echo on some of this because he's been doing it as well. I have a YouTube channel. I'm huge on social media, and I'm constantly pushing, hence the whole office here that I got going on. But I started a podcast called Raw Focus. You can find it on anywhere you can find your podcasts. And I am doing kind of opposite what everybody else is doing. I'm interviewing real people, local people. But of course, during the coronavirus and during COVID-19, we're seeing how it affects us. We've had a respiratory therapist. We've had people in real estate industry. We've had photographers. My wife was my very first, and she does hair. And so we're kind of talking about everything that means something to us. And the podcast will keep going. But ultimately, we're also talking about money. We're talking about how is it affecting us little people within this whole thing, because everything I see is always about big corporation and all that stuff. So if you guys are seeing this, please find that. And I'm happy to keep you updated, or find my page. You don't have to friend me because all of my stuff is public. So you can actually just go to my page, follow my page, and you'll be able to see everything that I'm doing. And I am going live every single day. Also, if there's something you want to talk about or feel like you have an hour of something to talk about, just message me or get in contact me through my email, and all the information is on my page. And I'm happy to schedule a time to get you on because I need more content. I need more people.
Okay. Now, one of the things you do too, it's YouTube based too, right? Where they can subscribe and get all the podcasts as they're coming out, right?
Right. I'm on YouTube. Oh my God, I'm everywhere. So if you just Google Jeramie Liu, you can find it. But I'm on, YouTube, podcast, Facebook. But I have a good following on YouTube, and I do a lot of photography, dad stuff, and product reviews. And then now all the podcasts that I'm doing are going on there. but they're getting shared at the same time the podcast is, so that I need the podcast people. I need them to watch.
Gotcha. Now let's bring Eric in here for a moment. Eric, what a lot of people don't know is you have a lot of experience in payroll. Can you, because you're going to be talking specifically about some of the things that are going on for these SBA loans that are coming in. And in just a moment, we're going to talk about the unemployment thing. Me and Jeramie, I know you saw that and you posted that recently, Jeramie, as well last night. Joe Hart's thing on Ask Joe. We're going to talk a little bit about the unemployment thing, how to apply and what's going on with that. But Eric, let's bring you in for a second here. You have a lot of payroll experience. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you're going to be talking about today?
Well, a little background. I used to work at Intuit as my day job before I finally let go of the trapeze and grabbed onto this one with Epic. But some background enough in there, enough to be dangerous, to really understand kind of the Social Security and Medicare, those sort of deductions that go in with payroll. But specifically for this one is the areas that I'm going to focus on and what I've been working through, because we're an S Corp. So my wife and I, we pay ourselves as employees. So different process than going through the unemployment side. And I've been working through SBA.gov for there's two forms. There's EIDL, EIDL for the disaster relief fund there. And then there's the SBA.gov for the COVID-19 for the Paycheck Protection Plan. I've been actually live right now, just finally got the ability to upload my documents for the Paycheck Protection Plan for what that will do. Basically what that does is it takes your average monthly payroll, multiply it by 2.5, and that's a loan amount that you can get to help keep employees on payroll. At the end of the 8-week period, if you've maintained the same headcount and at least 75% of the wages, then that loan turns into a grant. And then you can be forgiven that amount instead of having to repay that loan, which if you have to repay, you have deferred payments for 6 months, you have 2 years to pay it, and the interest rate's 1%.
Wow. All right. So that's the setup of what we got going today, folks. So let's get started with, we'll do it in this order. We're going to talk, and Eric, you jump in where need. I want to talk to Jeramie about the unemployment, applying for unemployment as a self-employed or small business, because they've recently allowed that. So Jeramie, we're going to have you jump in on that. Then we're going to talk with Eric about all this SBA stuff, which is completely confusing to me, but you're going to break it down in easy to remember terms here for us. And then we'll talk about contracts and things going forward that we can do for our customers to make our contracts more client friendly. So that's basically what we got. And by the way, we're going to be taking messages here. If you want to type out, type out a message. We have our computer. When you see me looking over here, I got my computer. You could type out a message and we will try to get it. And any questions you have, and we can ask them. So Jeramie, you posted yesterday with regard to unemployment. And this is a thing that I saw on TV as well about Joe Hart, the Ask Joe segment on KRNV News. And it had to do with the unemployment benefits, because the government has said self-employed people can apply for unemployment benefits. And this is interesting because having never allowed that before, and we as a lot of self-employed people and independent contractors, so to speak, don't pay into it. And they've recently allowed it. I'll give you my personal experience in a moment, but Jeramie, okay, Can you tell me what you learned yesterday from Ask Joe and just, things you've learned with regard to this?
So guys, I've been obviously being self-employed, not working. I've been following the unemployment side a lot. Right when unemployment came out, we were told to apply via how everybody else does, modify our answers a little bit, and that'll get us into the system. Fast forward everything right now under the pandemic, the stimulus plan that came out of the pandemic, whatever it's called, the money is not coming from the state. The money is coming from the federal government. So what's happening is if you were to call unemployment, they're going to tell you self-employment is not, you can't access it at all. You can't get to it. But what's happening is the money is actually coming from the federal government. So instead of them doing it themselves, they're basically giving it to the unemployment of every state and telling them to push it out. Well, we're finding out now, and you can actually go to Senator Masto, to Governor Sisolak, their Facebook page and all the news pages, and stay up to date as much as you want. They post very little, but they post. As of the 31st, the last update we got, they said that they have not received federal funds to start pushing out the $600 per week for self-employment. Also, what we're finding out now is that even if you have applied, like us, my wife and I, this is my unemployment card that I got. So I got it in the mail. She got hers in the mail. Has $0 on it. They're saying that we might have to apply again through a new system that they're building, which is bull pooey, because we're doing everything we're supposed to, but they keep pushing it out. There is a letter that went out that said that all the federal money went out on the 8th. Everybody should have gotten, all the states should have gotten on the 8th. Governor saying that he does not have the federal money to push out right now. And so we don't know where we're at. But what you should be doing is staying close to, I'm also part of DETR Nevada. If you look at that, they have a Facebook page as well. And they literally built this page just for unemployment, so you can stay up to date on that. But as soon as self-employment goes through, you're going to have to reapply. You're going to get $600 from the federal government plus half of the state's normal unemployment. So if you the state's max is $400, so theoretically we should be getting $800 a week for at least 13 weeks, and then it'll backtrack to whenever it started, either the 16th or the 28th. Those 2 dates are out there right now. So stay tuned to my page. Stay tuned to DETR Nevada. I'm sure it's going to go everywhere, but as soon as you can, apply, and assume it'll take 2 to 3 weeks after that for you to start getting stuff if you haven't had your card yet.
But the bottom line for all of us to know is they are not accepting applications yet because they have not received the federal funding. So those of us who have applied, we're going to have to apply again. That's the latest that we know. And that is as per what Jeramie said and what Joe Hart basically said last night on KRNV. So I'll give you my own personal story. And I share this because I think it will echo what a lot of us small businesses have tried to do. So I signed on around the 24th of March to DETR, the state unemployment. And I tried to go through the process. I filled out all the stuff online. I got all the way up to the part where it said quarterly money each quarter, and it was all zero. And I couldn't go any farther because I don't have paycheck stubs because I'm a self-employed, single operator kind of guy. All right. So I couldn't go any farther than that. I let it go. I just signed off. A week later, I went back to it. And it then gave me a new screen because it picked up where it left off, but it gave me a screen saying, "Are you self-employed?" And I said, yes. And I started clicking the button self-employed and I'm following all the things that it says to do, right? I'm thinking, good, they finally, adapted this to the self-employed people. That's what I was thinking. And I clicked all the buttons. It finally got me to a page that said, who was the last, person you worked for? So I throw in the Reno Tahoe DJ company. Right? Thinking, okay, well, because it wouldn't let me go any farther. I did that. I put it in. Next thing you know, I get all the way to the end. I get a claimant number. And the process is pending. I'm in the system. I thought, yay, this is great. A few days later, I get the credit card that Jeramie was showing in the mail. I'm thinking, perfect. Of course, it's got a zero balance. Well, recently, 2-3 days ago, I got 2 letters in the mail. One for me, Larry, the other one for the Reno Tahoe DJ company, wanting to know why I haven't paid into the unemployment insurance. I'm thinking, no, headache, right? So what they're doing. So again, it makes sense what Joe Hart said yesterday, what Jeramie's saying now is they're not set up for this. And it would have been very helpful if the state unemployment would have put something on their website for self-employed people to take them to a different page saying, we're not ready yet. Don't apply. I think so. Don't call. I'm guessing hundreds, if not thousands of people, probably nationwide, have probably, created these accounts and went through this process of applying for unemployment, and no one's ready to take them yet. I talked to a friend of mine in North Carolina, same thing. They're not ready to take these claims yet for these self-employed people. So I'm assuming there's a lot of people out there who are listening that have probably gone through the same thing I've gone through. We went through the whole process, got the credit card with the zero balance, and they're not even ready to talk to us. So I sent them a nice long letter. They're probably going to kick me out of the system and we'll have to reapply. So. Right.
So in Nevada, there's 98,000 people that have applied as self-employed. The only state that's gone through right now is Vermont. They've actually already started sending 600 out.
And Eric, let me bring you in here for a second. What have you found out about this I've heard something where it said that you cannot get unemployment if you're getting an SBA loan. Is that false, or can you get both?
That's a good question. I haven't looked too much into that, but my assumption would be you shouldn't be able to get both. But But what things that I've been reading through there, so if you have employees and you had to let them go so they could collect unemployment insurance, if you rehire them back on, then they stop getting the unemployment insurance and then they work through that. I don't know what that stipulation is yet with small businesses unemployment. Yeah, that's a great question. I think that question's still been unanswered.
It's so confusing. But I think the bottom line that I hope all of you listening are getting from this is that if you file for unemployment as a self-employed or sole proprietor and you didn't get very far through the system or got to the end or got a credit card with a zero balance, they're not ready for us yet. They're just plain old not ready. We're going to have to reapply once they set it up for the self-employed or small business, because we know of nobody. Is that right, Jeramie? We know of nobody that has received any unemployment benefits as a sole proprietor.
I don't know anybody. I was hoping Eric got everything and like anything. I was hoping he got like $2 from somebody.
All right. So that's where we are there. Does anybody have any questions they want to type in there with regard to the unemployment?
And I'll monitor this for you.
Filing for unemployment benefits, because I think we've exhausted that. I mean, that is the case. I mean, when Joe Hart from KRNV mentioned this yesterday on the air, he gave a person's name that he spoke to at DETR, the Department of whatever that employment services were. And he says, I spoke to her today. So this is fresh information. They're not ready for us. And they have not received federal funding. They haven't received the money, and they've got nothing on the website that's ready for self-employed people. So
hopefully it's soon. So they hired 110 more people to man the phones. Trump he's having an economy disaster relief, whatever that's called, a crew made for just this. So we'll see if anything actually starts happening, hopefully, but
okay.
Waiting.
Very well. We know you're all hurting out there as small businesses, and we feel for you. We're in the same boat. So let's move over to the next part of the discussion, which would be the SBA loans. We're going to bring in Eric, and like I said, he's got you were at Intuit Payroll Services for a lot of years, and the disclaimer is we're not financial experts, we're not lawyers. We're just going to give the best advice that we know, that we're from our own experiences, and that's the best way to approach that. So Eric, tell us a little bit about the SBA loan thing. I know there's several different types of loans, and kind of break it down from a standpoint of which loan is best for an S corp, which is best for sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship, in my case, where I have a subcontracted employees, I don't have an actual employee payroll. I only have one guy that I subcontract on occasion. And there's other people, though, florists and bakers and things like this, that actually have employees under an employee payroll. Some have them as subcontractors. Some work alone as a sole proprietorship. Some are an S corp or incorporated. Eric, break it down for us. Tell us about the SBA thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it's from the CARES Act, which is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, right? And so what this is meant to do is they set aside $349 billion to be able to help small businesses through this rough time and to help the floor of the economy not just fall out from underneath us like it already has and just continued into a free fall. So there's a couple of different options, right? So there's the unemployment insurance that we just talked about that is still fully up in the air. SBA stuff is still being worked out as far as for what it's going to be able to do for small businesses with COVID. So first thing you're going to want to do is go to sba.gov. And when you go to that website, right at the top, it says coronavirus COVID-19 relief options and additional resources. When you click there, you can go through a process that will allow you to apply for the loan. And how this loan is supposed to work is it's meant to keep employers, keep their employees hired on. So in order to be able to do that, they need to be able to pay them even if the business can't open and the doors can't open in there. What it is asking you to do is gather documentation, either your 940 from 2019, or if you're a newer business, what your wages have been for your 941 so far for this year in 2020. You take your payroll, you include in the state and local taxes, what you paid on in sick leave, any other sort of leave, and then retirement benefits and health insurance benefits. You take that, you take the average month, and then you multiply that by 2.5. that loan amount, as I mentioned in the beginning, is what can be given to you as a loan. In order for you to do that, though, you have to connect first. After you complete this form online, you then connect with one of the approved banks. We happen to have something with Bank of America, since we and my understanding is the banks will work with their customers first. So if you can find out which one of these banks are, and then I'd love to hear some more stuff from you, Jeramie. I know you were mentioning how you were able to have it spread out to a bunch of other ones. But once you fill out the form online by SBA.gov, you then go in and you fill out that form with your bank. They have a form right online for Bank of America. I filled out the application. They sent me an email to approve that application. They connected me with a third-party document uploader called Intralinks. I am actually in the process of uploading everything into that right now, and we had to jump on this Facebook Live event. So I just finished uploading my documents through that to be able to get the approved loan. They will get back to me with any missing documents that they need, or once I've got the approval, they then will put the money into my account. I can then use that as long as I've proven that I have the same number of employees and I maintained at least 75% of the salary for that time period. Then that turns into a forgivable loan, which becomes a grant. You can also spend additional things. As long as no more than 25% of your loan is spent on things like rent or your mortgage interest. And there's a couple other qualifiers in there as well. As long as no more than 25% of that, then it's all forgiven. Anything additional that was pulled out as a loan will then be subject to a 1% interest, payments deferred for 6 months, and you have 2 years to completely pay off whatever the outstanding amount was that didn't get turned into a grant.
Okay, so when I called my bank and I told them what kind of SBA loan I was applying for, they said there's nothing else to do at this end. That will just either be approved or not approved. And they mentioned that $10,000 thing. Now, I know a lot of us who fill this SBA loan thing out. There's that thing at the end where you put you click that button for $10,000 of immediate cash or whatever to go to your bank account. You give your bank account information. They told me there's nothing, the type of loan that I filled out for, there's nothing to do. It'll be approved by the federal government, nothing to do through a bank. What are they talking about?
So my understanding with that, I was confused with that. That kind of comes with the EIDL, which is the economic disaster loan.
Yes, that's what it was. The disaster loan application.
Yeah. So there's two forms. As part of the applications that I've been filling out for this form, what it's been showing is that if you requested additional amounts through that EIDL and you were able to get that $10,000 loan and get that transferred through, I haven't had it happen, but I've heard third hand that some other people were able to get that with their banks, moved a little quicker. When you fill out the form, you can request for an additional amount on top of that 2.5 times your payroll. And if you had any advance on the loan already given to you, then you take the net amount of that and you add it to that amount to get you your total amount that you're approved for that loan or that you're requesting for that loan. So that's still up in the air for me too. I'm still digging in because I'm still finding more information on that, but I don't have the proper guidance on what that 10,000 is to give a succinct answer here.
So do you think, and this is just speculation, do you think the 10,000 will come first prior to any other approval for additional amounts? So should we all just kind of sit tight and wait to see the first 10,000, or especially if our bank says there's nothing to do via us?
Right. So the loan might come through with the government. It doesn't. If you applied for the $10,000 advance, what I've been seeing and hearing and reading is you're not guaranteed to get that 10,000. It's more.
If someone said it was up to 10,000, right?
Right, up to 10,000. So you're not guaranteed to automatically get the 10,000, but you can get up to that 10,000 as an advance on the loan until the rest of the process goes through. But I'm still gathering information on what that looks like as well.
Wow. Okay.
Question. I have a question here. Eric, this is from Tracy. Did you take annual total because of slow season?
So what they can look at is what I was reading and when I went to some webinars is if you have a seasonal amount. You can take a 4-month period in that seasonal amount and take the average in whatever your best season is. The document is a little weird because it said between the time frame of February 15th to June 30th. You can do that if you're seasonal, but when I went to the SBA webinar, they had said it doesn't have to be that 4-month period. It can be any 4-month period that works for you in the calendar year.
Cool. And Eric, you believe that this is applicable to all types of small business. Is that right? From your understanding?
500
for S corps, for sole proprietors with no employees like myself, or a subcontracted employee, or people with payroll. Everybody can apply for this. Yeah,
starting last week, April 3rd is when they opened it up to corporations, and then today is when they opened it up to contractors, gig workers, and self-employed.
So today, and I heard you mention this in the past, April 10th was the date for that. What changes today? Because we were able to put our applications in prior, but what's important about today that's going to happen?
Today is the date that you'll be able to work with the bank. So you're able to put your application in through SBA.gov. Today, now the banks are now working with those individuals that are in the self-employed bucket. Okay. I know Aaron, who does the photo and video here for Epic and has his own companies as well. He was able to get on with Chase this morning, filled out the application, and was able to upload his documents directly in at the time that he applied.
Wow. Okay. Then there should be no problem getting appointments with the banks, right? I mean, you just call your bank and they're still meeting with people by appointment, I would imagine, right?
I would not call them. I would go to their website and fill out their information if they happen to have that, depending on who your bank is. Because if we tried to call and they're like, we don't know anything, go online. And so I've heard that from many people. And all the emails that I've received from Bank of America advising me on the next steps, they multiple times called out there, do not contact the branch or us directly to be able to ask for status on this. Everything is going.
They're not going to know anything.
And it's not going to be a regular loan. It should be denoted, I would think, on their website, COVID-19 or disaster relief or SBA loan.
Yeah,
when direct them somewhere.
Yeah, when I went to Bank of America, and then where was it on here? I think when I signed in on my side through Bank of America.
Yeah, mine said the payment protection or payroll protection program through, as I have Chase. And that's one of the people that I have to do this morning because I did everybody else already. So Eric, while you look at that, one of the things that I did was one of my live streams. I asked for help. I asked for if any lenders around here are accepting PPP, and this is like on the 1st or something. We got a bunch of lenders that went on and commented. So I ended up going through United. I didn't have a account with them, so I filled out a form to create an account. If I do get the loan through them, then they'll have my information ready to create an account. Been waiting. I knew the 10th was coming up. Last night I went to a website called lendio.com, lendio.com, and basically you put your information in one time, all the information Eric was talking about. So you fill out the same form, it's the exact same form, and then you upload, IRS docs and all that fun stuff, and it sends it out to 300 vendors at the same time, 300 lenders at the exact same time. And basically I'm getting, the good thing with this is I'm getting daily updates from this company as well and what's going on, where it's going, and lenders are actually joining Lendio at the same time to pull these as well. So credit unions and all that stuff I'm assuming they're making money off of this. That's the only reason they're all scatterbrained and trying to get as many through as they can. They're going to these sites just to pull the stuff. So do it through your bank, do it through any other bank that'll let you do it, and then Lendio just to do it. And what's happening is once you get approved for something and it comes through again through another lender, they're just going to discard any duplicate PPA or PPP loans that are being requested.
But just to be clear, Eric, my bank told me they're not doing nothing. They said what you applied for, you just got to wait for the government. There's nothing to do at our end with regard to a loan. That's going to be. So what are they talking about?
Yeah, I think theirs is strictly for the EIDL.
And EIDL stands for again?
The economic, I forget what that is.
Disaster insurance.
So that's the one I filled out, which is the smaller one, I guess, of the. 2 or 3.
It was the first one to come out. The very first one to come out was EIDL.
Yeah. So economic injury disaster loan. So usually those are for things like if you have like a flood or a hurricane or something in there that affected your business.
Okay, so I didn't do the bigger one.
Utilizing, SBA is utilizing this disaster, the EIDL, the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Plan, is kind of a part of what this is looking like. And so at least they're working in conjunction with each other. So it's a public-private partnership. So the public side being the government, the private side being the banks. Instead of the government trying to issue and work these all independently, they're partnering with banks to be able to get these loans out to people. Now, unlike other loans through SBA where the bank is certifying all the information, this is being certified by us as the borrower. So what that means is we're providing all the information and documents up to them. The bank is just checking that and saying, yep, this lines up. They send it off. They give the money to us as this loan. After the end of that, we then certify, yep, we maintained, we fulfilled all these actions that we said that we were going to. They say, yep, that's approved. They send it to the government. The government turns that loan into a grant for us. And then we move forward, and that is a gift for us. So by not putting, or what you need to have in order to be able to work with the Paycheck Protection Plan is you have to be able to work with your bank. Now, it's not all banks, my understanding, are going to be as an option through the SBA Paycheck Protection Plan. Only some banks will have that availability. I know Bank of America was one of the first ones to be in there. Chase is up there. So going through the process that Jeramie just mentioned, to be able to have, if you don't already have an existing relationship with a bank that is doing this, maybe going through that program that Jeramie had mentioned will get you in front of multiple banks. Whoever then picks it up from there will then go through the process with you to get those documents uploaded and approved.
Do we know of anybody who has received any money, the 10,000 or any loan, anything from the SBA regarding this?
Personally,
anything been handed out?
I've heard third hand somebody that has, but I personally don't know anybody.
Well, they said they've given out, oh my God, $400 million or something has gone out. But these are to the large corps. Remember, we're also competing with people that have 500 people or less in their business, which is huge. I don't know why I don't know why it's not like 100 or less or 50 or less, and then they focus on us. But remember, they're giving loans, the same loan to people that have 500 or less. Real quick before we move on, guys, I've been commenting and crazy tagging people. For some reason, the Northern Nevada Bridal Association page booted us off. I'm still recording everything, so I moved it over without transferring anything, and I was able to put it onto my page. So it looks like it's streaming fine. People are commenting and still going, but I want to let you guys know that I will be putting this on the Northern Nevada Bridal Association page to comment in the future once this stream is over. But I'm tagging the crap out of everybody, so we still have a good people on here, but so everybody's not confused.
Okay, do we have any more questions from anyone?
BMA, no. I filed for unemployment, but they said I had no qualifying income. Is that because? So, guys, if you're just joining us, anything on the unemployment, please note, you're going to have to apply again. Ignore everything that you've done so far. They're going to make a brand new system for just the self-employment and gig workers, and you will apply again. So whatever you've done so far, it doesn't matter. So don't worry about it. It wasn't made for us. So of course it's going to say we have no income there. And there was a section, and then you get a letter that Larry and I got, my wife got, that says, hey, how come this person's saying that you paid them and you didn't pay them anything? Oh my God, Larry fell. Oh my God.
No, I was reaching for my thing here.
Yeah. So, Dustin posted this yesterday. I have a customer that has purchased photo booths from me. They are 800K business and received $3,000, which is crazy. And I don't know why that is, because it's 2.5% of their annual, right? Or their monthly or something, right?
That's what it should be. They might have only received the advance from the 10,000 of only 3,000. Maybe that's what he's referring to.
And Eric, aren't they saying that it's only didn't they change the wording the other day? I don't know if you saw this, but it's 1,000 per employee. It said up to 10,000 now.
I saw something about that said it seems to be $1,000 per employee up to $10,000.
And that's a brand new thing that they just changed without telling anybody. So Dustin, if this is true, does he have only 3 employees? Let me know, because if that's it, then that's his advance.
All right.
What else?
I don't know. I applied for unemployment insurance benefits, and all I got was this lousy zero balance card.
It's a nice card. I mean, if you ever need to get into a room,
my final word on this subject.
I always need a card to get into a room.
It's very disheartening, folks. It really is.
But also it means that you did the stuff right. You did what you were supposed to do. You got the card. So, you know, a lot of us are like, we don't even know if it went through, to be honest. At least this way we kind of pull through.
And I sent them a letter, a nicely worded letter with regard to myself as an individual, my company, which is a sole proprietorship. They're probably just going to knock me out of the system, but don't even try to call them on the phone.
Don't call them.
I've called. Monday I tried over 200 times. Right.
Oh my God.
Before 8 o'clock, couldn't get through. Likewise, I tried on Tuesday. It's not even worth it. You know, you can't. Maybe by mail might be the best way to do when they send you something. Send something back, but they're not set up to take anything. They're just really not ready to go yet. So all right. So, any more questions on the unemployment or the SBA loan stuff?
I'll watch that. I have a little housekeeping as that kind of comes through. So guys, I know we're kind of joining us. This is actually a really good stream right now. We have a lot of people still in here and a lot of people asking questions. We are obviously part of, or I'm promoting the Northern Nevada Bridal Association page that we're trying to push through. Larry and I are talking about doing one of these streams every 10 days or so just to keep you guys going. And Larry, I think it'd be a good time, and Eric can start this, to talk about what we're doing in our businesses. I hope that all of you guys that are watching aren't just not working, aren't doing marketing, aren't doing things because you feel like nobody's doing it. I've booked 3 weddings in the last week and a half. Eric's booked 5 weddings. 5, and then Larry's booked two events. So we're still booking things. People are still booking. This is not long term, even though we feel like it's all happening now. People still have money. People are still they're still putting their deposits and retainers down. So Eric, I want to kind of talk to you. What are you doing in your business side, not the live stream, not all that stuff, to keep your business afloat?
I mean, been digging into a lot of this to try to figure out how can we get some loan options in there. And now it's working with all of our clients and that we have for this year, especially those that were impacted. We had a couple in March that had to get moved out to later in this year. April as well, all moved out. May couples are starting to look. It's starting to dip into June. So we're trying to just get ahead of it with our clients to let them know, hey, we're here for them. We know you're going through. It's already stressful enough trying to plan a wedding and pick your guest list. Now you have this pandemic on top of this that could seriously have an impact on your social gatherings. So trying to give them information of, hey, let's look for an alternative date. First and foremost, what we recommend is if you have anything printed that's coming up with the date and information on there, put a pause on that because that could be up in the air, and then reach out to your venue and see, hey, we're nervous about this, or you guys might have restrictions. What can we do to look for alternative dates? Find those dates that work best. Be open to non-Saturdays, because Saturdays are probably going to be booked with your favorite vendors through the rest of this year. So look for alternative dates. I'm even looking to work with the venue and the vendors that I know that are a part of the future weddings that we have, to see if the couple date has to be impacted, what can we do to move it to a midweek date, and what sort of things can we do to help make that beneficial for everybody? Knowing that if you move to a Saturday date, there's a high chance that at least one of your vendors won't be available. So if we can work in additional options to get to a midweek day, because once we're done with this, people are going to be begging to be able to meet with their loved ones, to celebrate. You know, this is supposed to be the happiest day of their life. So how can we find different ways to keep it in this calendar year and give them alternatives of, hey, you have your wedding on a Thursday, you now have the whole weekend to continue to party and celebrate with your loved ones while still celebrating on a date this year that you're not going to compete with a bunch of other people, and there could be some benefits that come to you that way too. So that's what we would spend a lot of our time and effort on.
I'd like to add to that a couple of suggestions I've given to my customers who have all postponed. March, April, May is completely gone, wiped out. What I've expressed to them is to think about selecting 2 or 3 dates. And then I give them a little bit of advice on looking at companies that they already have, and figure out the companies that are like a sole proprietorship and only take one wedding a day, like wedding coordinators, DJs, photographers. And then think of the companies that are like cake makers and florists and others who can do several events in a day. And the ones when you're talking to your banquet facility and you're picking 3 dates, the people you want to contact immediately after the facility are your photographer, your DJ, and people that do this as a sole business and only them, your wedding coordinators. The people that do this only, and they can only take one a day. Those are the ones you really want to reach out to so you can find a common date that works for everybody. And this is not universal, but I know cake makers, or bakeries can often do more than one cake a day. The same, I did a on Lifting the Veil podcast. I did a whole podcast on this when picking your vendors. Florists, for the most part, I'm not saying universal, for the most part, will take more than one wedding a day, or they can produce product for more than one wedding a day. Same thing with bridal shops. They can do more than one wedding a day. So start thinking, when you're as a bride or a groom, when you're working to find a new date, keep in mind the people at the top of that list beside your facility is usually number one. You want to really keep in mind check with your DJ before inking that new date. Check with your photographer, because most photographers work alone. Unless, I don't know how many photography companies have 10 photographers work for them. Most of them work alone. But for the most part, find those companies that are on your vendor list that work alone and make sure they got that date open. So I'm having to, Jeramie, you want to add to that?
Oh, no, I was just saying, guys, I'm running my business the way I run my business. Nothing's really changed. I'm not getting as many inquiries, but I'm still getting inquiries. And I'm still emailing people and reminding people. I have this annoying thing that I do that actually, this is how I booked my 3 weddings the last 10 days. Every 10 days, I send a reminder email to anybody that hasn't told me to F off. So basically, they have to say, Jeramie, stop emailing me. I'm not interested in having you shoot my wedding. If I send an email to you and you don't email me back, in 10 days, you're getting an email saying, hey, just want to make sure you got my last email. Are you still interested in using me? Please let me know. I'm here waiting. And then another 10 days, I'll keep doing it. And I've done it for like a year. And then somebody will finally email and be like, dude, we don't need you. And I'm like, that's all I needed to know. Right. So I've been doing that. And what's happening, guys, and the reason I do that is a lot of people, sometimes my email goes to spam. Sometimes they just forget. And now when they actually have a chance to sit down and look, they're like, oh my God, I am so sorry I didn't write back. I see your 50 emails here. Yeah, we're totally interested still. But that makes me feel like I'm still doing something. If you just email somebody one email from your inquiry and never do anything again, just give up. It's over.
And I think Eric spoke about this when he spoke at our Bridal Association meeting about how many points of contact it takes for a customer to respond. Eric? 5.
Yeah, 5 points. Yep. And that's a great point. Yeah, and Jeramie, I learned this from you, from kind of going through your process, and then I love the way that you send out to the all the vendors when post wedding. Here's the photos, go in there. I only ask that you tag me in there. So automation is a huge part of what we've been really fine tuning on our side, and we even went through and changed some of our verbiage because we do something similar where we reach out. We have different stages in our customer service portal that will, depending on the stage that the client is in, whether we schedule the meeting, they're new, follow up in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, they need follow up. We sent a quote. It has different language that it sends to them, which has helped having a different language avoid junk folders sometimes, not all the time. But I can see on my side, was it delivered? Did they open it? How many times did they interact with it? Did they click on any of the links that I sent? And that's how I got some of these as well, to your point, is by sending out hey, first we want to make sure that, how we worded it is during these uncertain times, we understand how much anxiety it can cause to try to plan to either attend or be a part of this special day. We want to know that we're here for you. We want to help answer any questions that you might have. You're not alone on this. We also wanted to follow up to see if you had any questions from the quote that we sent you. And then so these different touch points have helped the clients keep us at top of mind. I'm guilty of it. I get an email like, oh, I'll come back to that. And I forget. I get another one. And then doing these things, working, if you are one of the vendors in here on your wedding and you're slow, this is the best time to work on your business, not in your business. So,
well, let me ask you both a question. and this has to do with existing customers that we already have on the books. How far out are you guys going on your calendar to talk to brides about postponement? Now, I have only, I did this, well, before April 1st hit, I reached out to my April and May and June customers, talking to them about, the policy, and in our case, non-refundable deposit, but it's fully transferable, that sort of thing. But I'm not going to panic my July, August, September customers. How far out are you guys going on your calendars? What suggestions you have for other people?
Eric, I'm going to answer this first. Before I do, everybody wants to know where you are.
Oh, I'm in my beach house right now.
Yeah.
Quarantine for 14 days
Can you turn off the backdrop real quick and show them where you are?
You really want to see where I'm at?
Just real quick. This is so cool.
No, I'm in my kitchen.
Oh, nice.
Behind me.
There. Everybody's jealous.
I'm in the show The Office right now.
Oh my God. That should just be your total thing. I always feel bad because I watched the podcast of The Office with Jen and Angela, and the actor back there, I think his name's Shirley. I can't remember what his name is. The actor back there, he just has to sit there for all these things as people are getting interviewed. Like, he can't move. Everybody else is doing their thing, but he's like, I have to sit here because where my desk is. So I am not contacting my clients at all for rebookings, for weddings at all.
Okay.
I'm letting them contact me because I don't want to assume. I don't want to step on my own toes and be like, no, we weren't doing that, but are you okay? Like, I'm going to let them come at me. I have a contract with them. I am going to work because I'm going to work. I'm being hired to work that day. So I'm going to do that until they tell me something different, because I just don't want it to be the possibility of me ditching the contract when it's really not me ditching it. I don't want them to have that reason to be like, well, Jeramie says that he doesn't know if he can shoot then. So what do we do? And that's just my thinking. It's not going to get to that. So I don't think anybody worry, but Eric, you're up here on me.
But
and yeah, to answer your question, I did something similar to you. So we had created an email template titled "We're Here to Help" that we reached out to our clients back in mid to late March, all the way through June 30th, and we had let them know, hey, we hope your loved ones are safe and healthy. We wanted to let you know how difficult it is to secure attending, all this stuff. And then we had said, we're still a go for your wedding date. Unless something drastically changes within the recommendations from the CDC and the health officials, we're here to make it your best day ever. What we did in lieu of this was we said the tips that I mentioned earlier, we gave them those tips and said, if you need to reschedule, here's what we recommend that you do, so that, we know they're thinking about it, so that they didn't just panic. They didn't contact everybody but their venue first, or whatever that is. And then my wife found a template that they could download for free that was a change the date template, so that if they need to change their date for their guests, they could easily just put the new thing on there, send it out, or put in an attachment with their invitation, so that way they could help give them enough time to plan for an alternative date.
Let me ask you a question. You guys have postponed a few dates. I don't know if you have, Jeramie, but you have, Eric. I have. Are you doing an amendment to the contract, or you just do it by email as a confirmation that the date's been changed? So do your customers want it to be legally done as a contract amendment?
Yeah. So
I don't care if they want it. But.
Yeah, exactly. The answer to your question, it doesn't matter what they want. Legally, first, you need to get everything in writing. So if you've only had a phone conversation with your clients, follow up with an email, get that in writing so that they know that. What we've done with all of our clients is we've then created a new contract for the new dates that releases us from the original contract, puts on the new date, the new terms on there, and states that the booking fee or any amounts that you've paid so far will be applied towards the new date. I've done a couple of additions in my contract where I've made sure that, I've always refer to the contract and let the clients know that the booking fee is what we call it, is non-refundable, but we can move to a new date. And any amounts that they paid above that, as long as they give us advance notice, I used to do 24 hours, now I'm 21 days, then any amounts paid beyond that can be refunded if they end up having to cancel, minus of any other expenses that we've had on our side. But I've added initial boxes into both of those spots. So underneath the spot that I have for the non-refundable booking fee, I have a spot they have to initial, so that not only do I go over it with them, but it shows that they saw it. And then I have another spot below under cancellation around what our cancellation policy is, that if they elect to cancel it, they forfeit the booking fee plus any additional expenses.
Okay,
so
now that
there's no miss of, I didn't see that was in the contract.
So this is perfect. This is getting into our last segment that I wanted to talk about here on this call today, and that is client-friendly policies in our contract. I find myself now speaking to new customers. As I say, I've booked a couple. I know you've booked a few, Eric. Is talking to new customers with regard to these client-friendly policies because people worry about where their money is. So we're going to go point counterpoint right now with me and Eric, because we have two different policies. Now, my policy on deposit, and again, most deposits are non-refundable. This has been our policy for years. Some call it a retainer, some call it a booking fee, some call it a deposit. Regardless, it's non-refundable. There is no professional standard in what Eric and I are in the DJ industry. And likewise, I don't think any universal standard in photography or florist or anything else with regard to deposit amount. Some people go with 50%. I personally go with an amount that is less than 25%. Some people go with 25, 50. It's all over the map. So we're going to go point counterpoint on this. I'll start first, and then Jeramie, you jump in whenever you like. Eric is going to take the other side of this because we talked about this previously off air. I take an amount that is less than 25% because it is to hold, secure, and guarantee service, knowing that my brides and grooms, my wedding couples, are spending a lot of deposits in a lot of different areas. They could get into $10,000 or more, months in advance before the wedding takes place. So my deposit amount is less than 25% of the overall booking. And it's a certain amount, not worth discussing the amount, but it's less than 25%. Well, no, it's low.
I like how when we started talking about this, Larry, the first thing you said was, I don't really want to talk about this. So we were going to bring it up, and then you bring it up.
Well, no, my amount. Well, see, because my fee is anywhere from $1,250 to $2,000, so it's less than 25%. It is
right.
Okay, that's my amount that I take for a deposit. It's low. Okay. My customers love it. Customers love it, and it's a situation to where it's fully transferable. That's stated in the contract as well. And knowing that they're not on the hook for 50%, they rest a little easier. And I've had no angry customers leading into all of these cancellations and postponements to later on in the fall or next year. They feel really comfortable that they're doing business with somebody who has, that they don't have a huge investment of money that they got to worry about losing. So counterpoint, your turn, Eric.
Before we do this, Eric, before you get into this, guys, I'm seeing the, yes, use the word retainer, guys, but please research on what a retainer and a deposit is. I see a lot of you guys I call it a retainer. I don't call it a deposit. I learned that very beginning, but research what that means, because somebody's going to ask you the difference and you're not going to know. And then have an attorney look over your contract if you're going to change anything like that. Again, retainer, because you're blocking off the day. It's an assumption of time that you're going to be doing. You can't book anything else that day. And that's what a retainer is. They're retaining you for that time. So if they change the date and they want to try to get it back and you can't get that back, then you get something back. Okay.
Yeah. And again, we're not lawyers. We're not financial advisors. You got to do what's best for your company. You've got to check out get a lawyer to look at your contract, that sort of thing. So Eric, you tell me your deposit amount, where it's at and why you have it at that.
Yeah, so I went to a lawyer as well to be able to have him overlook all the contract information well before this had started. And she's the one that came back with the verbiage of booking fee. But yeah, booking fee, retainer, interchangeable. I don't recommend deposit because deposit inclines that it's refundable if something happens. So the reason that I take 50% booking fee is for the exact reasons that Jeramie had mentioned, is we're blocking this out. This shows that the client is committed, that they are going to move forward with it, and it protects both sides. So if you have a small booking fee in the beginning there, what's to say, and I'm not saying you do this, Larry, but what's to say that the vendor isn't just going to be like, I don't really feel like working this day, whatever, here's a $250 back, or whatever the amount is. Then the couple is now scrambling, trying to find someone to fill this date. The date can't be filled because everybody else is already full on this date. So this, by having that larger booking fee, this will guarantee that, hey, one, the client has skin in the game. Two, the vendor now also has a lot of skin in the game, because it's a huge amount to be able to lose if they aren't able to fulfill that. What we have as part of our contract is that we're not liable for anything in addition to 10% above what it would be from our booking fee, in case they have to find someone else if for some reason that we had to cancel on our side. Because we cancel it as the company, the client gets all that money back that they've already given to us, plus 10% maximum of anything else, so they can't hold us liable for anything in addition to that. I get the point of wanting to keep it so it's lower on the couple's side, but they know that there's a big expense with coming in with the wedding. I give them multiple options on how to pay it. I, in some case-by-case scenarios, will work with couples that are in that situation that it's difficult for them to come up with all that money because they're booking all their vendors all within a 3-week period of each other. I will allow them to make a smaller investment up front and then pay monthly, knowing that once we achieve 50%, which is the booking fee, that part is non-refundable. As long as they continue to make payments, they'll be able to keep that agreement there with us. So I've done that.
Someone could actually book you for less than 50% if they do a payment plan. Is that what you're saying?
They can, but that all of that is non-refundable once they get up to that 50%, and it's not fully guaranteed in there for the services until that 50% has been fully applied. So I'm continuing to hold it for them, let them kind of make these payment plans. I've done it very rarely with clients.
Right.
And luckily to this point, all the clients with whom I've done this, they've already all met the 50% booking fee before we've gone into all this stuff. So
now,
like with everything, there's exceptions to the rules. I take some case by case, but that our standard is 50% at the time of booking, and that gets applied towards the final payment because we have to turn away other events for this date by holding it for them.
Are we all in agreement that postponements can happen, no fee, and we postpone as needed because the customer needs to postpone the date?
Yeah, I'm that way. I have not charged them a new fee. I've heard there's some others that if they're moving into next year, that they're charging a 15% additional booking fee on top of their or additional retainer to take.
But what's their reason for that, though? Like, even if say coronavirus or COVID-19 wasn't happening and somebody needed to push it out to next year, unless I'm knowing now that I'm changing my prices for next year, that's the only difference. But I wouldn't just charge a fee for changing the date. I mean, it's...
And I agree. That's why we haven't done it. I've heard there are some other vendors that because their prices were going to increase by 15% for next year, by moving it into the new year, that's their justification for it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what they're doing.
Right.
Another point that I work with Joyce over at Tahoe Wedding Industry Group, and she did a class on contracts and terminations. The way that they do their contracts is they take 50% at the time of booking. Halfway between the booking date and the event date, they take another 25%. And then 1 month prior, and that's where we're at for the latter part, 1 month prior is when we have the final payment. So that could be some additional payment structure planned in there, because based on how much work is done, how much closer to the date you're getting, the closer you get, the harder it is to refill the date if the client ends up canceling.
So let's talk a little bit about then the final payment and the cancellation policy, what you guys have. And again, people have got to do what's best for them, what works best for them. But I've got some things in my contract that, again, I never like contracts that are all one-sided to benefit a company. Customers need to see client-friendly things in the contract. And this has been a thing that, Eric, you worked for me for a lot of years. This is what I've been all about, is putting things in there that the customer can look at that contract and say, you know what, this is someone I want to do business with because they are, client friendly. This is all not one-sided to benefit the company. So I require final payment 2 weeks beforehand. There's no right way or wrong way to do this. Some people do 30 days. Some people do 45 days or 60 days. That's fine. But when is the customer on the hook for the whole thing? Because we have situations now where there's weddings in May, first week of May, okay, whether they've canceled or postponed or not, that are within a 30-day period. Let's say people have paid all the way up, but they want to cancel their wedding where they might lose the deposit. Are they going to lose all the prepaid money as well? Or is that refundable up to a certain date? What do you say, Eric?
So I have mine was similar to I think how you had it, where they had to make their final payment 30 days prior. However, if they need to cancel within, as long as they've given me at least 24 hours notice, and I've changed this to 21 days notice, then they could get everything back minus the booking fee and any other expenditures that I've had on my side.
Gotcha. Okay.
And to that point, I as well, it make the contract so that it's both customer friendly and friendly on our side, especially, for both sides, because I want to make sure that the client understands that if we have to cancel, that's where that liability can come into play, that everything's refundable back to them if some sort of we cancel. So they don't lose that booking fee.
Right.
As well.
Right.
And it
we have the same
across the board to then make sure that you're dealing with a reputable company. Some other things that I've heard from the way that other vendors take it is depending on how far you're out, like for a venue, for example, they pay their booking fee. If you give them six months or more in advance, then a portion can be refunded back to you. So they all differ by whatever level of work that you're doing. For like photographers, there's some lead up in, especially day of a ton, but most of the work photographers comes in the post work with doing all the editing. Where on the DJ side, there's some work leading up to it, and then their day of is where the most of the work done, and then there's very little work that's done post side. So whatever makes sense for the services you're providing, that's where I'd recommend to line up with how you take that payment. But Jeramie, I'd love to hear what your process is.
I'm super weird, guys. Hopefully nobody yells at me for this. So I mentor and train photographers all over the world via social media, and this is how I do it. And so far, it's been freaking stupid awesome. So all right, when somebody books with me, I require 25% retainer plus contract. That secures me, right? Without either, they get nothing. They don't have my date, they time. They can give me money without a contract. That's totally cool with me. But it's my retainer. So 25% for me is a little different because my rates start at $4,000 for a wedding. So 25% is anywhere from $1,000. So they're paying anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 for their retainer just to hold me. So I feel like 25% is good. It also gives me enough money to make sure that I want to show up to the wedding. And they feel like they're giving me enough money that I'm going to show up to the wedding to get the rest. They can cancel with me 120 days prior to the wedding to get anything beyond the 25% retainer back. So say they made payments to it. I have a way for them to do an online invoice and pay as they go. And a lot of my couples will pay a couple $100 a month just to keep it going so they have a less bill at the end. If they cancel on me 60 days before the wedding. So I have big numbers here, guys, because I don't want to mess my life up. I'm holding these dates. So if they cancel me 60 days before the wedding, they owe me everything, but it turns into a credit into whatever service. So if they want to move the date, they want to do whatever, they have a $4,000 credit they can use with me. And then in my contract, it kind of breaks it down. It loses percentage every year. I really just want them to book me. I don't want people not to book me. I don't want to keep their money for not doing work, but I also need to protect myself. I also have part of my clause where it says that if I do rebook your wedding, I will charge them the full rate that I possibly can, and then I will return that to them. Meaning, if I can book a wedding for $4,000, I'll knock it off. Good, I booked it. And really, because I'm just trying to make myself whole again, right? And if I go to court, I want to prove that I made myself whole or I didn't make myself whole. My final total isn't due until 2 weeks after the wedding.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck? So what's happening, guys, I hate people that do that. It's like a Jim Gaffigan thing. I am not, like Eric said, I'm not done after the wedding. Photos aren't going to be done for 120 days after the wedding. This also gives me an opportunity to add on to the wedding if I need to. But I send them a final invoice about 10 days after the wedding with any additional hours, any additional assistance, or if I had a photo booth or whatever, I throw it on the invoice. That way I don't have to do it at the wedding. A lot of my couples do pay before, but it gives them that extra breathing room to grab other things because I refer other vendors before the wedding as well. So final totals are due 2 weeks after the wedding. I haven't had a single issue in the 300 weddings that I've shot so far. Until it becomes an issue, I'll change it. But I always joke with them at the meeting. I say, well, if you don't pay me, then I'm just keeping your images hostage. I also...
You have that ability. We don't.
Yeah. So with the DJ, why would you do it after, right? Because you guys are done. You're going to be chasing them. Me, I have something. The other thing is I don't actually even start editing their images until they've paid me in full. Mm-hmm. So I don't do any work until they paid me in full.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's the beauty of the different services that we offer, right? You have to do what makes the most sense for you. As DJs, if we tried to collect anything afterwards, they're like, I'm not going to pay you. What are you going to do? I can't take back the work that I did.
Right.
Right.
Videographer side, you have that, as you said, holding hostage for them. So they have incentive to want to pay you so that they can get their images. And the faster they pay you, the faster you start to edit them. And, that 120 days would shrink.
And like Casey said, it's knock on wood. So like I said, I haven't, I vet my clients. I charge a good premium. So my clients aren't shady people. It's not a $500 client. And that's what you'll notice. The more you charge people in your business, the better clients they are, the better server you're going to be. I mean, it's crazy. But if it ever does happen, then I'll highly suggest to myself, change your stuff and you're good to go.
Right. The bottom line to this segment, folks, is do what is right for your business. Do what's the best for you, but give some great consideration. If you don't have them already, if you're having difficulties with talking to customers who are canceling, postponing, not wanting to rebook, upset about the deposit amount, upset about the cancellation, if there's a cancellation fee involved, that might be the case for some products and services. Find ways to, especially in this downtime, is to look at things that are more client-friendly policies that will attract customers. Like I said, my deposit, it's less than 25%. It's still several hundreds of dollars, but it's less than 25%. It's not a set percentage. That works for me. That may not work for everybody. So find what works for you. My cancellation policy is very liberal, very easy, where they can cancel within 24, outside of 24 hours and get full repayment of prepaid funds. And I do that because nobody ever cancels outside of 24 hours, but it looks great to a customer. They know they're doing business with somebody who really has their best interest at heart. And I realize it's a crazy liberal policy of what I'm offering, but I do that because I put the ball in the people's court. I put the ball in the customer's court to know that this guy really has our best interest at heart. And the amount of people that have canceled and wanted a refund are zero in 30 years. So that works for me. So just give great consideration, especially in this downtime, to looking at different policies in your contract. Maybe think about redoing some of them, make them client friendly. Look at it from their standpoint. What would they like to see? And just still make sure that works for your company.
So we have a couple minutes left. Let's say 3 minutes. It's, we were going to go to 11. We're a little over, but thank you guys so much for staying tuned with us. Before we leave though, Eric, is there anything you want to say, mention, pimp yourself out a little bit here? Only mention is, first, you guys, thanks for putting this together. If you have any questions about this and I can help, please reach out. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's epic.weddings, Facebook, Epic Weddings, Epic with a K. We'd love to interact and then see. Again, we offer DJ, photo booth photography, and videography. Can work with all that. Done a ton of weddings with Jeramie. Larry brought me into the whole wedding scene way back in when I was 15 and learning stuff. So super appreciative. We have a great market in here. Doing some research in there, just in the Reno area, our market is $438 million for just the wedding industry. So huge impact for what is happening with this by having to postpone that. So do what you can to support. Jeramie, I know that you're selling gift cards out there. I love that idea to help keep things afloat. The more they buy, the more sessions that they buy, the more that of a discount that you're offering in there. Huge thing to help out. And anything we can do to just make sure that the first responders and those that are in the front lines right now are getting all the support that they can get from us in this downtime. We're being asked to stay home and watch Netflix. I think it's an easy thing to do. Right. And chilling. So guys, one of the comments that came up here, I think Carol asked, and then Danielle is replying as well. I made a little video about this. Do not discount your future weddings because you're scared now. Don't lower your price. Don't think that 2021 you're going to have to reduce your rates. Just do not change anything. People are going to get money. They're going to get loans. They're going to get whatever. They're going to book you for your rate. This is not the time to start discounting your wedding services. What I'm doing with gift certificates is completely different than weddings, but like, don't do that. Please just keep your rates the same, book the same, do everything the same. It's your value. It's your worth it. We're going to get up there. It's going to happen again. But that's one of the things that I'm saying. The other thing is, guys, we're all in this together. You have a huge support system, especially through this group right here that will be posting some stuff. If you have stuff going on, you can post as well. But one thing that I was talking about yesterday on my podcast was mental health. Know that you're not alone. If you're sitting at home and you're crying and you're not talking to anybody because you're stressed and you're nervous, know that we're all the same way. I'm not a crier because I'm a man, but I'm here to talk and chat and help you guys, and hopefully I can guide you guys because we're all going through the same thing. So please just don't feel like you're alone. All of us at one point in the last week have been like, our businesses are over. How much does McDonald's pay? Which is like $15 an hour, which is pretty good because we've looked into it. My 13-year-old, she can start working at Wild Waters pretty soon, so that'll supplement some income. But that's it. Again, podcast, Jeramie Lou. I'm on TikTok as well. If you guys want to get on TikTok, you can find me there.
Jeramie, you are 1,000% correct on everything you said there, especially the part about don't reduce your prices. Don't try to sell it cheap just because you need to get business. I 1,000% agree with you on that. Everybody should know a couple things. Number one, the COVID-19 epidemic that is sweeping the nation and hitting New York and other big cities so hard. We are so blessed here in Northern Nevada to have such a very, small impact with regard to actual cases. We're going to come back. We're going to come back stronger than ever. Our fall is going to kick butt. Wedding season here is going to be off the charts. With even weekday bookings and such like that for people moving. And it is going to be tough right now for the next month or so, but we're going to come back. And, we got one of the most beautiful and vibrant wedding destinations in the world. People won't forget that. And they will come back stronger than ever when we get back to work. So I hope everybody just, stays the course. 2021 is going to be huge based upon 2020 was going to be huge. And now we got this little, second quarter, divot, so to speak. But fall's going to be great. Summer will still probably be good if we all get back to work, hopefully in May or June. We're going to still have a great summer. We're going to have a great fall, off the charts. And next year is already booking up or getting bookings or phone calls. And that's going to be big too. And I don't know if anybody recognized this, who was in the Grand Bridal Showcase that Shirley put on this past February 9th. What we noticed from the lead list is there was an awful lot of 2021 brides. I mean, there was a ton of 2021 brides. So those brides are so to be retained. Some of our 2020s are going to push to 2021. 2021 is going to be huge. So stay the course. Don't worry. We got a vibrant wedding market. Jeramie, thank you so much for putting this on, this Zoom and live stream here. We'd like to do it again in 10 days. Thumbs up from you guys if you're all into this. Let us know. Put a comment there if you enjoyed it. We'll find a different set of topics to talk about. And my thought to Jeramie was, let's do it on the 10th of April, the 20th, and the 30th. We'll keep it all at 10 a.m. and we'll come back with some more topics in 10 days and do it again, if that sounds great. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Jeramie, again, thank you for putting this on. Eric, you're like the most incredibly knowledgeable guest. And I'm so glad we brought you on this. We hope for you to come back as well.
Oh yeah, it's great. And I really appreciate you guys all putting this together. Jeramie, you're rocking it there with all the information you constantly get out with the podcast, the YouTube and everything. So just blessed to be in this community with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, guys. Everybody, thank you. Have a good day. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right,
thanks. Bye all.